Welcome back, everyone. J-Bone here for Smash This Podcast. Yeah. If you're new to the content, by all means, go check out. There's a ton more where this came from. If you're so inclined to, give it a like. And while you're at it, why don't you hit that sub button and ring that bell for notifications when you know that more of my content hits your screens. Folks, we are going to talk some Impact Wrestling from tonight. And once again, my apologies for not doing last week's review. There's just so much going on, especially within the next few days. I'm going to do my best to cover it all between this, Impact Wrestling on Twitch versus Lucha Underground. We got House of Hardcore, NXT TakeOver, and, of course, WrestleMania. Whew, man, gonna need some extra Mountain Dew in the house within the next 24 to 48 hours, I think. Yeah, maybe a couple of Monsters, something. Along with anything else I might be putting my eyes on. So yeah, I want to just touch on a couple things before I get into tonight's episode. Aries is a double champ in the Impact Zone. That's crazy. He beat it was a title versus Matt Sydal. He didn't take Matt Sydal's. He took Josh Matthews' Grand Championship, which is hilarious. And in my notes here, and from my recollection, Josh Matthews absolutely flipped his wig when he heard about what was going on, that Sydal actually accepted the challenge. Yeah, Josh Matthews got all squeaky. He got all squeaky. I can't even imitate his voice. It was like way up here, like he lost a nut. It was hilarious. So, yeah, I'm inclined from like here on to call him Squeaky, but I don't want to be considered a bully or get blocked or anything. But nonetheless, the segment was hilarious. I was like, oh, he's so squeaky. Petey Williams won the 4-way match and challenged Sydal. He's putting his briefcase on the line at Redemption. He won that match against Raju, the Suicide, and Ishimori. So, yeah, that's going to be a tremendous match. In fact, next week, Josh Matthews is challenging Petey Williams. I don't even know what to say to that. The backstage fight between Rosemary and Ty was really good. And the highlight of the episode, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Austin Aries, hometown guy and all, but that match between Brian Cage and Lashley, and then tonight's, and we'll get into that in a little bit, that match, folks, Brian Cage is on a streak that is, I don't know where he's going in this company, but so far he's unstoppable, and that says something, especially when you beat a guy first match with Lashley. That's amazing. Lashley, I may not have followed all of Lashley's stuff over the last few years, but I know he's a force to be reckoned with. I know that much. Beat him with a discus lariat last week. Let's see. Oh, and I don't usually talk about the GWN stuff, but that flashback was pretty cool that they showed between Chris Sabin, Petey Williams, and AJ. I must have been tired. I wrote down AJ Sabin. It's AJ Styles. Two Sabins? No. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Um, and the stuff between Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan is getting even crazier, let me tell you. So that's last week's in a nutshell. Now this week's, Lashley goes out to the ring and he calls out Brian Cage. And it doesn't seem like they're going to have a match right away, but out comes a ref and boom, it's a full-blown match right away. It starts out a little chaotic outside the ring, but there's a ref there. So eventually they get the match started, and these two go at it again. My goodness, folks. These two, I could watch these two. I mean, Lashley's not my favorite guy to watch wrestle, but these two together, oh my goodness. Counters and what these guys are doing to each other, it's just absolutely crazy. Hell of a match. Lashley versus Cage Part 2. Cage wins again, proving that he's no fluke. And Lashley quoted a certain, we'll say, dead man, talking about, I'll make you famous. Yeah. Cage is making, like I said, Cage is making quite the name for himself in Impact Wrestling. And he's facing Eli Drake tomorrow night. Now, I have not heard, as far as obviously Drake's representing Impact Wrestling, I have not heard anything as far as Cage representing Lucha Underground. But if this is Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground, I'd say you could safely put Brian Cage on the side of Lucha Underground if he is going to take a side in this one. And he's on such a roll. I've got a little prediction what might happen in the future. I'll get to that in a bit, but that match tomorrow night is going to be very interesting to see what happens. Cage versus Eli Drake. And we'll get to more of Eli Drake in a minute here. Allie calls out Su Yung. Allie is becoming quite the little pistol. She really is. I mean, she's all timid and bouncy, and then she gets in the ring, and she's really showing another side lately. It's interesting. Calls out Su Yung, and this becomes a match too, similar to what we saw just last match, where it starts out outside, works its way inside, and during the match, Braxton Sutter comes out, distracts Allie. He's just really turned into a slime ball, let me tell you. And then Su Yung attacks Allie and gets DQ'd, attacks her with a kendo stick. And even goes after the ref, Mini Booker T. Is it Mini Booker T? I think it was. Runs for the hills. But yeah, Su Yung gets disqualified. Allie wins. But this ain't over. This ain't over, folks. I think these two are most definitely going to face off at Redemption in a few weeks. That should be good for the Knockouts Championship. But let's see if Allie is even champion then, because the Knockouts Championship is on the line tomorrow night, folks. Taya Valkyrie is facing off against Allie. And it wasn't stated, as far as I know, But I got a feeling you could throw Taya on the side of Lucha Underground in this one. That is going to be one of the best matches of the card tomorrow night. Folks, you're not going to want to miss that one. I can't wait to see Taya in action. Oh, she has been sorely missed. And next week, we are getting Taya versus Rosemary in a Demons Dance match. Demons Dance match. What in the blue hell is a Demons Dance match? Is that I don't even know what that have we had one of those before? Is that like a Clockwork Orange thing where they have like all the weapons all over the place? Rosemary's Rules or something? I don't know. But I can't wait to see what happens next week. We'll see. And we're out, like I said, we're also getting Josh Matthews versus Petey Williams. Yeah, talking about he was proved he was tough enough. Come on, Josh. It's been a while. I don't know if you're still tough enough. Cam's picking on Richard Justice, doing fat jokes. Falaba has had enough. Comes out, gives Cam 1-4, and then out comes Cult of Lee. The whole ring is just full of chaos, and then out comes Tyrus to squash all the bullying. He's become quite the anti-bullier. Even, was he yelling at a kid in the audience? That was hilarious. Hey, you in the orange hat. I was like, little kid, like this tall. I was like, oh my God. But hey, you know, all kids at one point or another need to be taught a lesson. I don't know if I'd want Tyrus yelling at me, though. The kid was probably pissing down his leg. Yeah. Dad probably had quite the mess to clean up when they got out of there. Yep, probably. So it looks like we got some rivalry of the big boys. We'll just call them the big boys. We'll say like Falaba, Tyrus, and Richard Justice. Probably going to be in a match next week against KM and Cult of Lee. That's a guess. But I could see something like that happening. You know, a la Teddy Long. You know, holla holla. Oh, let's see here. We get an unbelievable match between Ishimori and Johnny Impact, followed by a very big guy coming down to the ring, Congo Kong, with Jimmy Jacobs. Attacking Johnny, but Johnny ain't having none of that. Nope. Gives him 1-4, and Jimmy Jacobs sends his beast to the back and retreat. But Jimmy Jacobs, man, he's such a creepy little bastard. Love his character, though. Man, I know he's been back in the ring recently. At least I think he has been. I'm hoping we get to see him in the ring in the Impact Zone sometime soon. Would love to see it. Sorely missed. Great character, though. Love Jimmy Jacobs. But I'm assuming this whole thing between Johnny Impact and Congo Kong is going to come to a head. Guessing next week. And you know what? There's a certain guy who is not added to tomorrow night's card. And just for fantasy's sake, I know we can't get everybody against everybody all in one night. You know, you got to save some surprises for the future, especially if this happens again, or if we even have an inclusion of some of these guys on the roster in the near future. Crossing my fingers, folks. Crossing my fingers now more than ever. Especially if tomorrow night is a success, which it sounds like it's sold out. at least the main seating. I don't know how big this place is that they're going to be in tomorrow night, but the seating is sold out. That says something. However many seats there is, I don't know. But hey, that's pretty awesome. So congrats on Impact and Lucha Underground for selling out the main seating area. What's beyond that? Well, I guess we'll find out tomorrow night live on Twitch. But you know what? I would love to see, as far as Lucha Underground versus Impact Wrestling, I would love to see Congo Kong versus Mil Muertes. Now, I heard recently something about Mil Muertes being a free agent. Now, I don't know if that means that he's done with Lucha Underground. I haven't heard any details, so I'm not going to sit there and like spread stuff that I don't know about. But if he's a free agent and he's not with AAA anymore, I don't know what that means for his Lucha Underground stuff. So I don't want to speculate too much. But man, if we could get this guy who was in Impact Wrestling years ago under another name, Judas Messias, I believe. If we could get him back in the Impact Zone, a la Mil Muertes from Lucha Underground, folks, you're going to be in for a treat. I would love to see Congo Kong versus Mil Muertes, or any form of Ricky Banderas, all right? So, just throwing that out there to anyone who might be listening. And the wrestling gods above. Now, last but certainly not least in this episode, we get a case versus case, or case for case, excuse me. The cases aren't fighting. That would be really ridiculous and cartoonish. That'd be worse than WWE. Oh my goodness. Moose versus Eli Drake. This did not turn out how I thought it was going to. And I'm sure a lot of people were shocked by this. Like I said, including me. The ref gets knocked out. I was assuming this was going to be a squash match, and Eli Drake was going to get his ass handed to him. Moose got beat. I'm laughing just saying it because I can't believe it's Moose got beat. Now there was a lot of shenanigans that happened in this with Sami Callihan and his boys OVE coming down to the ring. And then Eddie Edwards shooed away Sammy. But you know, the shenanigans paid dividends, and Moose ate a gravy train and was beat. Eli Drake has 2 cases now to cash in. Unbelievable. He's this close to being on top of the pile again, folks. I mean, I'm happy for Eli Drake. He's one of my favorites in Impact Wrestling. But I also heard something very interesting. Now, I've not listened to the entire press conference that happened yesterday? Wednesday. The weekly press conference. My goodness. The weekly press conference. Eli Drake was on it. Someone asked him about his contract that's due up in May. And it sounded like Eli Drake said very matter-of-factly that he has not put pen to paper yet for anything new. I love Eli Drake in Impact Wrestling, but I know a lot of guys have been unhappy in Impact Wrestling and want to go to greener pastures. Or just onto different things. Not necessarily greener pastures like we've seen EC3 go to. Look at Chelsea Green. She's gone on to fighting all over the place. She had her eyes on the WWE, and apparently that's not on the table anymore. She's just kind of going all over the place. Apparently she went and did a little time in some ice temple recently. Heard something about that. Nothing definite, but I thought I heard little birdie told me something about that. So I don't know. So yeah, what is in the future for Eli Drake? He's got 2 cases now. That's gotta mean something. I don't know. But we'll find out soon enough, because this month is gonna go pretty darn quick. And Redemption is around the corner. That's a few weeks away. And along with another set of tapings. So we'll see, folks. We'll see. So that's going to do it for this review of Impact Wrestling, plus a quick review of last week's. Folks, these episodes are getting pretty darn good. I heard last week's rating was like the best that they've had in a while. I didn't hear exact numbers, but I heard it was very successful as far as viewership. So, hey, congrats to Impact Wrestling on your growth. Keep up the good work. The wrestling's phenomenal, folks. You know, I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea, but hey, I'm digging it, because I'm watching just a ridiculous amount of wrestling between House of Hardcore, Impact, WWE, amongst whatever else I can get my hands on. So, I'm digging it, and that's why I'm reviewing it. You know, I do throw some criticism in there, but you know, when I do see something a little, I'll talk about it, and I'm not going to bash it, because overall the product I feel is very good, and I'm loving the faces on here too. A lot of my favorites from Lucha Underground and all that. So, folks, tonight or tomorrow night on Twitch, Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground. The card is absolutely stacked to the roof. Not everyone who I thought was going to be booked is booked, but I've got a feeling we're gonna get a few surprises. I'm excited for what's on paper, and I'm trying not to get too excited, because I don't want to be like, oh, this guy could show up, and this guy could do this, and this guy could do this. No, I'm not. I was gonna, fantasy book the hell out of this, but if I get myself too riled up and they just stick to the card at hand, then I'll be like, and I've done that before, so I'm not doing that. I'm trying to chill out. I'm very excited for this. Folks, this card and the action in this card may rival the big show a couple days later. All right? But I'm going to be watching all these very closely, and I'm very excited about all the wrestling going on this weekend. So, for that being said, I am J-Bone. This is Smash This Podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Share it if you like. Give the channel a sub. And ring that bell for notifications so that you know when my content hits your screen. Good night, folks. Have a good one. See you tomorrow night for Impact versus Lucha.